Having rebooted the Indian operation with India 2.0 project, Škoda Auto Volkswagen has created strong fundamental pillars of growth for the future. Year in 2025, the company has got to the next level when it comes to volumes with Škoda Kylaq. To talk about what's the role ahead of a mainstream model and the expansion of portfolio and where does the group go in the coming decade, we have with us Mr. Piyush Arora, MD and CEO of Škoda Auto Volkswagen India Private Limited. Mr. Arora, thank you for talking to Autocar Professional.
My pleasure, Ketan. Pleasure to be with you.
Yeah, it's been a phenomenal ride. Kylaq this year is going to help you get to the next level, and export also has been playing a very critical role for Škoda Auto Volkswagen India. Could you just recap how the journey has been with India 2.0? Because that was sort of a reboot in the way the group looked at India from design, engineering, manufacturing perspective. How has the last half a decade been? What does Kylaq do to the group for the future, and what can one expect in the coming half a decade?
Sure. Ketan, before I talk focus on the last half a decade, let me just reiterate that the Volkswagen Group entered into the country almost 25 years now. We are celebrating 25 years as Škoda Auto globally celebrates 130 years.
Right.
So we came to the country with our global products.
Right.
And that was the entry point for us. Over the next decade, other brands entered. But in 2007, 2008, to utilize and to participate even more in the Indian automotive space, we decided to spend in Pune almost 600 million euros at that point in time and brought in the products with high degree of localization. Over the last years, if you see that, as you said, the last decade with the India 2.0 program, we engaged ourselves even more. And what are the learnings out of that is that we invested in our supplier sets, we invested in our manufacturing, but at the same time, we also came closer to the customer by expanding our network.
Right.
And we could understand much more from the customer needs. And that's the foundation which we have created with India 2.0. And I can only say from this, we can only build going forward with further product expansion, which is on the anvil in future.
Right. How's been the initial response to Kylaq? Because that was another a leap of faith in that sense. You were getting into the sub 10 lakh rupees market and getting more closer to customer as far as the affordability is concerned. As far as the consumer reception is concerned, and some of the things that you did at the back end, because you had to do a lot more local sourcing, a lot more local engineering and designing and defining products for the Indian consumer need. Some learning from understanding the consumer and also from the back end in terms of what all did you do to get the product ready for the cost and affordability.
Yeah, I think with the India 2.0 program, with the 4 products in the market, 2 for each brand, I think they received very good response in the market. Incidentally, we are manufactured already 500,000 cars, both for domestic and export market now. Having said that, it still restricted our market addressable segments.
Right.
So we were able to address not more than 30% of the market. So in our effort to increase our market share, of course, you have to address the bigger market share. And the Kylaq as a product, sub 4 meter, which is the largest segment in the Indian automotive space, gave us an opportunity to participate beyond 50% of the addressable market in India, which is the third largest automotive market right now. For doing that, of course, we did much more than what we did in India 2.0, because whatever learnings we had from India 2.0, one, we replicated them, but also at the same time, we went one step further. So like for tooling development, we were able to localize tooling development in India. For hat development, top hat development, I think we participated much more because we are close to the market.
Right.
We understand better the customer needs and we are able to adapt them more agile. So we participated much more in the hat development than what we did in the India 2.0. Apart from that, we expanded our capacity. So by almost 30% in our manufacturing facility in Pune. This gave us an opportunity to go in a bigger way into the Indian market. And I think initial response we received very, very positive.
Over the years, the group had always relied on bringing in global products into India. The era was different. You needed that top-down approach to build the brand. Now, like you said, you've been around for the last 2.5 decades. And so it appears that Kylaq is more local for local. But export has been a very critical pillar of Volkswagen Group's strategy in India. How are you plugged into the global ecosystem? Because one of the key requirements has been to fill up the capacity, and export plays a very big role. So, how about export strategy along with expansion of the domestic portfolio?
I think from the time, as I said, that when we invested in the Pune facility, almost 600 million, while we brought in a global product which we localized and indigenized to a great extent and utilized the manufacturing capability in India, not only within our facility, but also with our suppliers, it gave us an advantage, and we were always focused on export at that time as well. So we have always been focusing on export and I say it very proudly that almost 30% of my total production is exported in the last decade or so, while Indian automotive industry is trying to touch 15%, and the government vision is to go above 25%. So we are there, and not to say that we will not take it even further. Having said that, the product which we are developing, like for India 2.0 as well, we developed with the focus on India, but at least at the same time also making it ready for the export markets. And we have been exporting India 2.0 cars to more than 40 countries. And as I said, almost 30% of the capacity goes for export. This would remain our strategy going forward as well, because we have created such a strong base with our suppliers at right now. The competitive advantage which I am getting in India in manufacturing, while I follow the global standards of manufacturing, but to be able to adapt it with frugal engineering ways, or to be able to do automation where the quality requirements are there and thereby achieve certain efficiencies, I think we have gone a long way. And within the group, I think it is recognized that India as a region is really ready for export opportunities for the future product development also, while we will adapt a platform and localize a platform which will be suited for the Indian market, but at the same time ready for exports.
Now, I mean, very critical point there. You did set up a local engineering center here in India. What role is it playing, and how clued it isn't into the global ecosystem? Does a design and engineering center cater to the local market? Are there global responsibilities? Can we go further deeper into the local development? I think the tooling for Kylaq is a very positive example, and the top hat as well. So are we getting to a stage wherein India gets its independent autonomy, or you still going to be clued into the global ecosystem to get the best out of both worlds?
No, from my point of view, we started with our engineering center with the start of 2.0, because before that it was more a technical office which was supporting just the local adaptation need. But having said that, with the engineering center having been set up here, and we are ramping it up at this point in time, we have seen the process is always slow in terms of learning. But having gone through this process now with the Kylaq program, and as well as for the future opportunities, I do see a much bigger role for our engineering center going forward. We have been participating also on global projects at this point in time, but our focus first would be to utilize our engineering skill sets right now for the product development in India, participate. And since we are closer to the market, I think this gives our engineering colleagues here much better opportunity to be able to put forward the requirement which our Indian customer needs. And that's, I think, the main focus, to be able to participate in the global program. How much will we go into the platform development? I think the capability built up will define that. But at the same time, we will definitely look at opportunities that we are able to do work not only for India, but for the global program.
So we're talking about export of products, export of services, and catering to the local needs. The evolution of the manufacturing ecosystem and the emergence of AI and ML is disrupting the Indian automotive space. could you just help us understand how has the group evolved its footprint in terms of adapting or adopting the industry 4.0? Now people are talking about 5.0, and even from the usage of AI and ML. How does that disrupt the automotive space from a manufacturing excellence standpoint? You talked about the automation bit. How is group evolving, and how different are the standards? I mean, I believe you must be following the similar global standards. So from a manufacturing and R&D perspective, how are these tools evolving?
I think the digital transformation and the software-driven vehicles are the biggest transformation which you are seeing right now. Of course, coupled with the electrification right now in the automotive space, car is becoming the platform definition of car on the electrical platform is becoming more and more software-driven, and the future is that finally, and all the work is happening in that direction. Um, our global organizations which are focusing on software development as well as mobility solutions are more and more through their subsidiaries getting into India and trying to utilize the Indian capable digital innovation mindset. And from that point of view, I do see going forward that there will be bigger role which our technical center also will do and will provide not only to the group but also for us locally in our product development process. Having said that, I think we are adapting these digital tools not only for product but also for our processes. And as you said, it's getting into shop floor, whether it is AI-driven cameras which are helping us to maintain product quality also in the engine shop, but also in the logistical area. So I think there are a lot of opportunities for us where the AI is being utilized. And I think um, the thought process is that every process should have AI.
Right.
We are right now not there yet, but I'm sure the speed at which we are moving and we are trying to adapt, it requires also upskilling of your employees and also your workmen. And all this coupled together, I do believe that we will have much more interfaces being developed in our manufacturing process as well as in the product development process. What I believe is that in India, you can definitely develop solutions which are going to be much more cost effective, but not only for the Indian usage, but also for the global environment.
Right. I mean, India is a hub for software engineers, and we've seen a lot of global multinational corporation relying on India for its software capabilities and all. How is Volkswagen Group, plugged into this Indian ecosystem? The technical center, like you said, is expanding further, but the future SDVs and even from a product development life cycle, we are seeing that it is shrinking world over, and many multinational corporations have tied up with Indian engineering services arm like Tata Elxsi, Tata Technologies. I mean, how do you see that as a potential opportunity as well? That you rely on the Indian engineers, second, you rely on the local firms to kind of adopt and accelerate on this path.
I think it's going to be a combination of both. I think you don't have to duplicate everything, which competencies are existing in the Indian environment, and you named few companies, and there are quite a few more. In fact, to recognize and to be able to um, bring them on board in Volkswagen, we have arranged in our headquarters in Škoda Boleslav a supermarket kind of. Where we took a lot of suppliers who are capable of doing that to be able um, to be able to expose them to our engineering colleagues there and understand. So this is one piece where we definitely look at utilizing the engineering skill sets which are available in India. But at the same time, we are going to also ramp up our own technical center, and it's going to be a combination of both finally at the end of the day.
Right. When you look at the future, and when you look at the role of India, the Aurangabad facility is a very critical facility, and probably the only group that continues to have a broader portfolio, multiple brands, catering right from a 10 lakh rupees car to multi-crore rupees car. What role is Aurangabad going to play? Because you had applied for the EV policy, and probably one may see India playing a much bigger role. How do you see both these nodes contributing towards your future growth? And could we potentially look at exports from India? Because EU FTA is one thing that is going to play a very big role when it comes to Volkswagen Group. So the two nodes, Chakan and Aurangabad, how do they evolve? EV policy and the India EU FTA. How do you see that evolving?
Okay. Too many questions at the same time, Ketan. I'll try to answer one at a time. I think overall manufacturing, we are focusing on bringing in product for the Indian market, deeply localized, utilizing our supplier set, as well as not only for Indian market, for export. So this gives me an opportunity for exports, definitely. And we have spoken about that some time back already. But if you talk about the Aurangabad or now Chhatrapati Sambhajinagar location, I think it's a great facility which we have for parts and component business, where we are able to bring in our global icons and utilize and assemble and manufacture them with high degree of knockdown, and able to offer to the customer the halo products of our brand across our different brands, whether it is Škoda, whether it is VW or Audi. So all the products we are able to offer to our customers. I think this business model of ours has given us opportunity to bring in the global latest technologies into the country.
Absolutely.
And I think this also not only gives us an exposure for the customer to see our global icons, but also in our showrooms we can have more products than what we are able to offer, limited products we are able to offer right now. So I think it's a combination of both, and I do see that in brand building as well as offering to the Indian customer, it's a great opportunity for us to do the parts and component business. Coming about talking about the free trade agreement, I think as a global company, and we have always been proponent of less tariffs, so that it helps movement of technology much faster and much easier across the geographies. And today's world in the geopolitical situation is moving more from multilateral trading to bilateral trading. And I think the discussion between India, EU, FTA, which has been going on for a while, I really welcome the progress which it has made in the last months. And it looks like that we might see the light at the end of the tunnel finally. And we really congratulate our government as well as the EU to be able to take it that far. It will, for us, open up opportunities both ways. So I do see an opportunity wherein with the FTA in place, depending on, of course, the cornerstones of the FTA, which will be finally decided, would give us an opportunity to bring us latest technologies, both in the ICE space as well as BEV space into the country. But at the same time, my future product development also will consider that, as I said already, that we are going to, of course, develop a platform in India for India, but also capability of exporting. It might also open up opportunity for much more countries for exports. Our export opportunity, our export strategy of a group is always that we want to be closer to the market, so that you can be much more agile, you understand the market.
I understand.
And that's the way we have been exporting right now, where we are logistically able to supply, but at the same time in the countries where our products are acceptable. So I think my product strategy would define to which countries can I really export. And of course, the FTAs today, not only with EU, even the other FTAs in the offing, which can open up much more opportunities for export for us.
Japanese car makers have proven that the products made out of India can go back to the home market. India is, an important pillar for Škoda brand as far as internationalization is concerned. India is helping to develop Southeast Asia. There's conversation with regards to Middle East as well. Do you think India today is capable enough to serve the EU market, given the fact that EU opens up that opportunity? Something like a Kylaq doesn't really exist there, but if a platform and the capability exists, or why not even Kushak, or for that matter, Slavia? I'm not sure whether Slavia can make it there, but just, given the fact that India has evolved, do you see that, India becoming like a key pillar in the internationalization plan there?
I think we have multiple times stated that Indian region will play definitely a great role, or means leading role in internationalization strategy of Škoda particularly, and in generally the Volkswagen Group. From that point of view, and from the way I see the ecosystem in India developing at this point in time, there definitely is a capability. And I think other manufacturers have proven it. And we also exporting it to almost 40 countries proves very clearly that the capability wise, there is an opportunity. The second thing is that our operations being also very efficient and cost effective in terms of within the group, while we used all the group processes, as I said, that we are able to optimize them, and we are able to make sure that our cost of manufacturing is
What are the best
one
cost
of the
basis?
best cost basis across. This also gives us me an opportunity to be able to export. Now the question is that which are the markets I would target, and which with which product. You gave our examples of 2.0 and Kylaq. Of course, there would be an opportunity for that to be able to export if there is a market, and if there are from the trade side opportunities open up. And we will definitely evaluate all the products which we will produce in India, which are the markets where we can. And as I said, for our future product, very focused with the backdrop of FTA, we'll have to define our product in such a way that it is capable of being exporting to more and more countries. And that would be the strategy going forward. Yeah.
Help me understand, what does GST 2.0 do? Given the fact that the global TIV right now is facing significant challenge. The geopolitical situation is also quite in the air, disrupting trade everywhere, including the local markets in different parts of the world. Does that make India an outlier? And how is HQ seeing the evolution here in India? And what does that do to Volkswagen Group's future plan, say 2030? How do you see the group evolving?
Yeah, if you see, India has evolved into the third largest passenger vehicle market, so that itself would make anybody interested in the Indian market, and our group is no different from that point of view. While we have seen that India is not a very high rewarding market, because the way the cars are sold in India is still almost 50% cars are sub 4 meter cars, which definitely cannot bring that kind of contribution which the bigger cars can. Having said that, I think while the market was going post COVID at double digit growth for almost 2 years at a very high pace, and it really moderated in the last year, and was showing almost sign of flattening this year. The GST 2.0 comes definitely as a boost, and I think it's a great initiative, and Government of India's board initiative. We of course praise what has been done in this space, which was also kind of a request from the automotive industry for a very long time. But I think we have this opportunity right now. We are seeing the tailwind right now. Now the thing is that from the time the announcement was done till the time it was implemented, there was almost 5-6 weeks of time wherein we saw pent up demand getting built up.
Right.
So I think it's a combination of multiple effects which we are seeing right now, and I would wait for the next few months to see how the GST really takes it. But I'm confident that at least it should increase the growth rate by a few percentage points for our sector as well. While it is expected that also the GDP will see the impact, and I'm sure our sector will see the impact as well. I think our long-term planning, I have very clearly stated right now that we though we do our strategic long-term planning at this point in time, I have requested our group that let's wait for 3 months so that I can give you better numbers or more realistic numbers after that. And I'm really hopeful that we will be able to have a better growth rate projected than our previous planning round in this planning.
So there's an upward bias towards what one can expect. As it is, group was very positive on India. With the GST 2.0, there's an upward bias. So probably more allocation next phase of investment. How are we there?
I would say yes. We have to focus on our next product expansion, and I think as I mentioned it to you, that we are addressing not more than 50-60% of the addressable market segment right now. Our intention is to take it to the next level, and that requires, of course, more products and fresh investment, and that is what we are working on. And I think once we have achieved that, then we will be able to talk about which other white spots we have to fill, and then take it from there. So I think my immediate focus right now for the country is definitely, for our operations here, is definitely to make sure that we expand our addressable segment, expand our portfolio, both in ICE space as well as BEV space.
Since you spoke of BEV space, there's one big question mark as to where is the future of powertrain going to be. And Japanese have gone the multi-pathway. European brands have taken a tough call on diesel, naturally so, given the emission profile. But when you look at the future, how do you see the powertrain mix evolving? And how is the group seeing the mix evolving in terms of hybrid, EVs? Does CNG play a role there? How do you see the powertrain mix, and how is the group evolving its strategy?
I think our industry's decarbonization goals very clearly indicates that the future of mobility would be electric. And I think if you see our group's roadmap of future products very clearly demonstrates that. And from that point of view, I can also say that we are not only the market leaders in our home market of Europe, only in ICE, but also in BEV market. And our latest products are the top sellers. If you know Alrock, and I think you had also seen that product during the launch, is the highest seller of in Europe in the last 3 or 4 months. So having said that, the electrification pace in each geographies have shown different paths, and I think India will be not very different. From my point of view, it will be driven by multiple factors. The prime one being the customer adapting to the new technologies and going for the electric vehicle. Apart from that, infrastructure development is another cornerstone which will define how fast the electrification will move. Other than that, I think the product availability and technological advancement. So all clubbed together, I do see that the pace is already started increasing. It might accelerate even more. By the turn of the decade, expectation is 15, 18, maybe 20% penetration of electric vehicles, and that's what we are getting prepared for. But at the same time, I want to bring in the platform in the country which should be capable of then alternate propulsion as well. So you spoke about hybrid. I think even in Europe, the realization is right now that hybrid will play a role for a longer period of time. So I think we will consider that as well. Flex fuel, I think Government of India is pushing very high on that. And as you know, our group has the technology in Brazil, which they are very effectively using. So that's another piece we are looking at. Of course, if there would be a demand on our product for the CNG, we will evaluate that as well, because the CNG has also seen a substantial amount of growth in the last year. So I think we will definitely look at, while we will focus on electrification, but alternate powertrains will always be considered.
So you'll be flexible. Whichever way the market moves, you'll ensure that there is a solution available for the Indian consumer from the Volkswagen Group perspective.
Yes, that's our strategy for our future platform, that we are able to adapt different technology and different propulsions to our platform.
Lifecycle management has been one of the biggest challenge that the group has faced, and even at the top end, which is the CBU CKD level. How is the group addressing that? I mean, does the flexible architecture helps you address that? Is there an emphasis to ensure that the product action, be it on the facelift, variants, new generation models, because life cycle world over is crunching, and even in India we've started seeing your rivals offering products at a much regular interval. Do you think that is one area that the group needs to fix?
You refer to the globally as well as in India. I would say the Indian pace is faster than the global pace right now for the product interventions, and I think the agility which the Indian manufacturers as well as the global OEMs which are present in India have shown is definitely something which we have recognized, and this is an area which we are working on for sure. I think the opportunity will come with more and more capability building in our engineering center right now. That's of course one step. Being remaining agile and being closer to the market to be able to react to the market needs much faster would be the other advantage of that. And yes, the product intervention is at a regular period and a regular frequency than what we have done in the past is definitely one of the areas which we are focusing on. Platform wise, the capability is there, but at the same time, we should be able to bring those changes much faster into the product, and that's the focus going forward.
Now, before I let you go, when you look at the long term, I mean, the number of brands that you manage, it's amazing. I mean, and probably the only group to
We added the sixth one, Bentley, now recently.
oh yes. So I mean, if I could just for our viewers' perspective, ask you as to how do you see each of the brands evolving, because each of the brands have their independent position in India. The Volkswagen brand has been doing very well in the sedan space, and it definitely needs more expansion in the portfolios. Probably flexible architecture help you address that. How do you see, each of the brand evolving, and how do you see the group eventually in 2030, given the fact that India is going to be one of the fastest growing market for each of the brands? So how do you see each of the brands and their journey, and cumulatively as a group, how do you see 2030 from an India standpoint, before I let you go?
Okay. Ketan, the thing is that, of course, we have a very diversified portfolio, and you refer to that already, from sub 1 million car to going up to 80, 90 million INR cars, which we have in our portfolio. And all of them have their own market size and market segment. So I think each brand, while carving out their own niche in the marketplace, on the back end, you have to define also how you can bring in the synergies. And I think we have done that, means the back workshop work to be able to be prepared for that. But at the same time, the products which we are not localizing in India, I think they depend on the product life cycles which are done globally, and we are dependent on that. And I try to bring those products as much as possible. So if you will see our brands, whether it's Audi or whether it is going forward Porsche and Lamborghini, they have the products defined, and they are also aggressively expanding their product portfolio. So I think focusing on that, we will try to bring the most relevant products.
But more localized in the future, probably a wider portfolio where Audi faces challenge from the top two German brands. Probably localized Porsche, something that has been explored in the past. Lamborghini, of course, is a very niche. So maybe more localized top end of the market.
I think in terms of expanding the product portfolio, of course, there are opportunities for Audi as well as for Škoda and Volkswagen in that space, and which we are looking at. But at the same time, other brands, of course, you can evaluate that, provided you have for a given product substantial number in the marketplace. I think that evaluation has to be done on case-to-case basis, and of course, Porsche would fall into that category at some point in time, and we will definitely do that evaluation. But given what we have today, there is a need for expanding that portfolio, and we are looking at the opportunities for expanding that portfolio.
And if you could look at Škoda and Volkswagen, how do you see both these brands evolving? Very curious about Volkswagen's next step as a brand.
From my point of view, both have their independent space in the Indian marketplace. Indian market is big enough to be able to have both the brands in the market. Yes, you are right that VW brand. So to be able to offer customers more, we have had product interventions in terms of Golf GTI, like we brought in, which has been a tremendous success, Tiguan R-Line, and we will look at such opportunities before we bring locally produced product in the country.
So the new architecture takes into account both Škoda and Volkswagen, right?
At the platform wise, they definitely would be able to cater to both the brands and with the different hats, yes.
But the mainstream, I mean, can Volkswagen expand the addressable market? Do you think that there is potential for Volkswagen in a sub-4 meter space?
This has been a speculation for a very long time, and of course we will evaluate it, what are the opportunities for Volkswagen also in that space. And if we see that there is enough space for that, then there can be a possibility to look at that opportunity. But at this point in time, I would say that we are focusing on the next platform, and how fast and how soon can we bring that.
Just lastly, 2030, I know you're going to be defining the new vision statement in a quarter's time, but how do you see India, I mean, as Škoda Auto Volkswagen India, in terms of volumes, growth, export potential?
We have achieved with India 2.0 a strong base right now, and the focus would be to utilize that base and expand and build on that. So if my addressable market segment is 50-55% going up to 60%, I would like to expand that so that we can reap the benefit of more market share in the country. Our future investments or focus would go more on product development as well as supplier development, but at the same time also upskilling our people with the new technologies, and also looking at the opportunity to expand our network so that we can reach out to the more customers and we are able to get better and more feedback from what the customer needs are. So that would be the focus area going forward. And to do that, I think um, we will have to definitely participate in the mobility story of India. And
Right.
for me, participating meaningfully in the mobility story where we can participate through sustainable manufacturing, bringing the innovations which the Indian customers need, and also our commitment towards society. I think these are the areas if we are able to address and at the same time grow our business profitably would be then what I would aspire for till 2030.
Any crystal ball gazing? I mean, can you any numbers? I mean, market share is something that we as journalists we keep asking you. Cumulatively as a group, I mean, how do you see?
In the medium term, I think our immediate focus is to cross the 5% market share and then build it up from there. But that's what the range I see, that we with the product interventions we are able to reach 5% plus market share in the Indian market.
Fantastic. So there's potential expansion in capacity, more models, more local R&D, and clearly India is expected to be one of the outliers for the Volkswagen Group. Thank you very much for talking to Autocar Professional, Mr. Arora.
Pleasure, Ketan. Pleasure was mine. Thank you very much.
Thank you.